Most people see filmmaking as inspiration and spontaneity, but the biggest jump I've made came when I shifted to discipline. When I stopped seeing filmmaking as just art, I started approaching it like a sport. After football, I didn't really have any structured training for a long time, and recently I started training MMA, and it's the first time since then that I've been part of something more regimented. You've got sessions, you can see progression, and you're actively working towards something, getting stronger, quicker, becoming a better fighter, all in the process. And what I noticed pretty quickly is that I wasn't training based on how I felt, I just showed up. For example, recently on a hiking trip, I rolled my ankle and it was pretty painful in hindsight. But regardless of that, the mindset was still you rest, but next week you're back in the gym training. And that made me realize that's how athletes improve. And I think I've always known this from my football days, but once you leave such a structured system like that, you can slowly lose that belief. As an athlete or anyone training to do something, you can't wait to feel inspired or motivated. Your structure has to carry you. And when I started approaching filmmaking in the same way, everything changed. So one of the biggest components when it comes to improving anything is repetitions. In the MMA gym, that looks like practicing the same kick thousands of times, drilling the same combinations over and over again until they become second nature. And the parallel for me in filmmaking has always been content, not paid work, not things that are directly tied to money or some linear progression, but the projects I do purely to reinvest into myself. These aren't just pieces of content, they're practice, they're reps. Just like training the same kicks again and again, these projects allow me to experiment with effects, sound design, visual ideas, things I've never tried before. And that's what primes you for when a real opportunity comes along. When someone sees your work and asks you to recreate something they've seen in one of your spec projects. That's how you stay sharp as a creative, and it really can't be overstated. Another thing that is fundamental to training as an athlete, and this goes back to my football days, is studying. You study game tape, you watch other players. Even now, I'm watching how people move, how they strike, what I can take into my own training. And all of that is about the same thing, raising your standards. In filmmaking, that translates to studying better work, not just watching films, but analyzing them. Watching behind the scenes breakdowns, director commentaries, looking at how scenes are covered, how dialogue is shaped, how performances are directed, even watching your own behind the scenes, how you communicate on set, where things feel messy, where they could be cleaner. And here's the thing, a lot of people watch films, but very few sit back and analyze why a scene actually works. And the truth is, you don't really notice what you're doing wrong until you see someone else doing it properly. In the gym, that's obvious. If you've got bad technique, you're gonna get exposed. But filmmaking is one of the mediums where it's easier to hide behind interpretation or taste. But if you hold yourself to a real standard and compare your work to people who are doing well, improvement becomes unavoidable. Alright, forgive me for butchering this because I can't remember how it goes, but there's that one quote, like, if you're the biggest fish in a pond, you're probably in the wrong pond. And that idea shows up everywhere in life, but in training, people usually improve faster when they're being challenged by people better than them. When you put yourself around higher level people, your weaknesses get exposed, and that's actually a good thing, because those are the exact areas that you need to grow. It also kills ego really quickly. You can't be prideful in rooms where people are better than you. You have to be humble. You have to listen, and you have to admit where you're wrong. And that does a lot of heavy lifting, not just for the craft, but for your personal growth. The same thing applies for filmmaking. If you're always the best person in the room, there's no real reason for you to be there. You're not challenging yourself. Real growth happens when you work with people on your level or above. Those are the rooms that force you to get better. All of this only matters if you stay in the game long enough. No one remembers people who had short streaks. We respect the ones who last, the ones who keep going year after year. And the irony is, when you start doing all the right things, putting out better work, being in the right rooms, pushing yourself, that's usually when burnout creeps in. Just like in training, you need recovery. Physically, that's obvious. Eating well, sleeping, resting, being intentional. But creatively, it's a bit more subtle. Burnout kills more creatives than failure ever will. I know a lot of people who stepped away from the industry, not because they weren't good enough, but because they were exhausted. They went project after project without ever reconnecting with why they started. Sustainability beats intensity every single time. If you're an artist, you should get better with age, like fine wine. You'll gain experience, perspective, better collaborators, better rooms, better resources. And if that isn't happening for you, the issue isn't how hard you're working. It's how little space you're giving yourself to reset and fall back in love with the craft. Because at the end of the day, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon.